This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, and this is Fast Action Fridays. And we are having a little bit of trouble today with my guest, who's Victoria Hargis. And let's see if she can get in here. And if not, we will reschedule Victoria, but I want her to keep on trying because she's got an awesome topic. And I was going to share while we try to get her into that seat. Victoria helps people discover their purpose, learn how to access their inner leader, and claim their place in the world. And she does that by helping them let go of their fears, and we all have fears, let go of past resentments, and step into their future as impassioned leaders. And she's a licensed practitioner of NLP, a certified hypnotist, and a licensed transition coach, which I think is really cool. And her recently released book is called Raw Leadership, Awaken Your Power Within, and it walks readers through the steps to experience their own awakening. And I'll tell you, mindset is so important, especially when we experience issues with technology like Victoria is having today. And as I explained to those who are sitting in our gallery today, I had so much trouble getting into one of my own blabs one week that my guest actually had to run the blab for me, and I did a call in. But we did it. So other than to try going completely out, maybe rebooting. Yep, try rebooting your computer, Victoria, and coming back in, and we'll just make it work. I'm going to kick you out, and let's see if she can get back in. Dennis, I know that we have talked about mindset before, so while we're waiting for Victoria to join us again, what sort of mindset problems or fears that affect mindset have you experienced before?
Oh, wow. Actually, quite a few different ones. That's why I was kind of hoping Victoria was going to be around. Well, some of them have been, I was a single parent, and at an age where I was young when my son was born, and I guess they should know that yeah, this was before I met you, so but being a single father parent was a very scary situation. Because of course I was working and I wanted to make sure that he was being taken care of. And because I did have legal custody of him, that put even more pressure on the situation. And I knew that, his mother really wasn't interested in taking part in any part of raising him. Definitely caused a large amount of fears. And something that took a long time to overcome. Matter of fact, there are times, even though he's grown and he's in his 40s, sometimes I think I still have some of those fears that, did you do the right thing and so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know for myself, sometimes I felt way too much pressure to keep family on an even keel, everybody working together, everybody happy, everybody, not upset, or at least not upset with me. And I actually let go of several wonderful business opportunities to further my writing career, my business career, because of those fears. And there's some regret there. We're going to mute Dennis for just a second there. and that's how you deal with them and how you get back to, getting on an even keel for yourself. So mindset does change for us. There, I put you're unmuted again, Dennis. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And if you have access, there is a little microphone at the lower left of your screen, so you can. I know I've been having to mute myself sometimes when I have had a coughing fit. There's Steve. Steve Henry is my co-host on our 1 o'clock blabs. Victoria's back. Let's see if Victoria can take a seat this time. Oops, she's been in and out. It looks like Steve's having trouble too. Cindy's here. And we're talking about mindset while we're waiting for my guest today, Victoria Hargis. I hope I am saying her name correctly. So if either Steve or Cindy would like to take a seat for right now and join in our discussion of mindset, that would be great. Dennis is here. He was expressing how being a single parent back in the early 70s was pretty scary at times and affected your mindset. How did that manifest? What did that make you, when you had those fears, what did you do or not do that you think you would have done had you not had that situation?
Well, obviously it put some restraints on things that I might have done. I was attending college at the time as well, and I had to, cut back on some of my classes. I had to. One of the biggest things was to make arrangements when I did go to work, because I was working at Chrysler Corporation at that point in time, and I was working a lot of hours. I was going into work like at 2 o'clock in the morning and wasn't getting out until 3. So I needed someone, one, to come in at like 1:30 in the morning to take care of them. And fortunately, I was able to find a couple of people who were able to do that I trusted with him, because of course I'm leaving a 4.5, 5-year-old child alone at 1:30 in the morning with, technically speaking to him, a stranger. Although he did meet these people, obviously, and I was able to use part of the child care center at the college that I was attending, and it helped considerably that I was on the board of trustees at that college, so I was able to have a little more privileges, I guess would be a good way to put that, than the average person might. So that was my biggest fear. And then of course, I had to come home from work and then take care of him. And of course, now I'm tired, and so on and so forth. It made things very interesting, and fortunately for myself, and I believe for him as well, I ended up finding a lady that was able to come into our lives and take care of both of us, I guess, so to speak. And that's how we got through that situation.
All right. How surprised were you when you got into that situation of being a single parent? I mean, had it ever crossed your mind that was going to be a possibility?
Oh, absolutely not. It hit me totally out of the blue. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I was, very happily married, and my wife was going to school to become a nurse, and we had the normal family situation. Dad went to work, mom was in school, and son was being taken care of, and it was a whatever quote unquote normal family situation was. And then it was a total, 180-degree spin from that point in time.
Right, absolutely.
It was even more interesting because at first he went to live with his mother at first, and that was another whole different situation because now I've lost my son, so to speak, and I didn't have a lot of contact with him, other than some weekends and things of that nature, and then things completely turned around. Again, we did another 180-degree spin where all of a sudden she was not interested at all in being a parent, and just I use this word with reservations, but she just kind of dumped them back in my lap. And I don't mean that I didn't appreciate him, and so on. I loved him dearly, but it was like, again, it was another one of those sudden things where I was not prepared for the situation. It was just like all of a sudden she said, "Hey, I can't do this anymore," and she at one point in time threatened to commit suicide.
Wow,
so I thought,
that's rough. And single dad status has a certain elevated pedestal now. I mean, we admire the men as well as the women who can do that really well, but that wasn't the case back when you were going through all of this. We've got several people in our gallery. Unfortunately, our guest is having mega problems getting in, and we've tried all of the normal things, and I'm really we're going to definitely schedule Victoria back because she's got some awesome things to share, and I don't even want to say all of the fast action tips she had. But Charlene, if you're able to join us, fine. Steve's coming in, and we are still discussing mindset, how it can knock us down and what we can do to put ourselves right again. Thank you for joining us, Steve. And Steve and I will be back at 1 o'clock for our regular 1 o'clock show. How has mindset affected your life, Steve?
Wow. Well, first of all, let me say good to see you, Chef. I know you've been going through some trials and tribulations there, and you got a smile on your face, so your mindset is obviously right. Wow. Awesome.
Yes. We have to work on those things.
Well, yeah. It's funny, I was just posting a message when Kat first contacted me. I was just posting a message to a person who was asking about overwhelm. And I quoted to her the phrase that Brendan Burchard often uses, the time to get the map is before you go into the woods. And although that is structural, it really applies to mindset as well. So many people jump into things without taking the time to get their mindset right in the first place. And, that's one of the biggest causes of overwhelm, is not being prepared for what you're getting into. And a lot of that is, that whole mindset thing. And I was very, very fortunate to, have a wonderful upbringing. At the time, I probably didn't think it was so wonderful. Certainly when I was a teenager, I didn't think it was so wonderful. But when I look back on it and I realized the things that my parents did for me and shared with me and truly taught me, that led to me having the right mindset and, facing things square on and doing the research and the homework and the preparation. So I think mindset, it's the underpinning. I mean, it's kind of hard to separate all of the pieces out. If you've got a puzzle, you put all the pieces together to get things going. But I think mindset is a little bit like the frame. You put the edge pieces together first, and then because they're easy to find, and then all the rest of it kind of falls into place as you go. And so I can't separate it out and say that mindset is necessarily the most important thing, but it sure is the frame that holds the rest of it together.
Charlene, this is Fast Action Fridays, and I know this is a topic you and I have kind of discussed and bantered around, and you've got wonderful masterminds that you lead. Mm-hmm. What are a couple tips that you can give us about having a good mindset or reframing what we're thinking, something along those lines?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. Appreciate that. Good to see you, Kat. Good to see you, Steve. Hello, Dennis. We've not met, but I'm Charlene.
Hi. Pleased to meet you, Charlene. I'm Dennis.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well. So my belief at this point in my life, as in right this minute, is that mindset will make or break my day at any given moment. I'm in control of it because it has to do with my mind, my thoughts, my emotions. And once I learned that it was under my control, then I could deploy some tips and tricks and little things, if you will, that others have taught me along the way. So one of them is that how do I start my day? And I have some routine things that have become routine so that I am pre-setting myself for a day of being available to learn, being available and open, I should say, more open and receiving to learning and to being of service to others and to helping them to grow their business and eventually grow my business as just a part of it. But I also think that one thing that I've learned to do over the years is, Steve alluded to being overwhelmed. And one thing that happens with me is sometimes I will feel something very, very strongly. And so one of my tips that I give to people is that when I have a very strong reaction, as saying I'm not giving thought to it so I can respond, but instead I'm reacting. I have a strong emotion, is to mentally and sometimes physically take a step back. Take a deep breath, allow myself to understand where I am, what I'm about to say, are there consequences to what I'm about to say, and to calm myself. Because if I don't, then that strong emotion will color and gray my mindset for the rest of the day. It will always tinge whatever it is that I do. Another thing that I do is that I take time, literally take time away for 5 minutes, especially when a strong emotion hits or when I have to make a decision now and feel like I'm being forced to do something and I'm struggling with it. It's gotten in my head and it's affecting how I'm seeing things. It's no longer rose-colored glasses. They're very, very gray. I use the silent scream technique. And that is when I go to a quiet place for 5 minutes and I physically go through the actions of silent screaming. And then I'm able to clear that out and tackle the rest of the day. But honestly, mindset, Steve had the benefit of being continual learning there while growing up. I think I probably had it, but I just didn't take it. So today I do it on purpose. I try to learn and deploy good things in the morning for myself. And I prep myself for the day the night before by reviewing how did I do, what needs to be done yet, what do I want to have happen tomorrow, and then I come into the office in that morning and I have a framework that I can work by, which is here's the list of things that I wanted to get done today, but also the why I'm getting it done. And making sure that basically everything's in alignment. I mean, I'm kind of going all over the place, but I can tell you my morning routine and that it would make sense, right?
Right. And it's interesting how all of us had have different ways of approaching it, and a lot of it is rooted in what happened in our youth. I mean, I grew up accepting a lot of responsibility at a very, very young age. I don't think it was forced upon me as much as I saw what was needed and accepted that responsibility as young as 4 years old. And I've got proof of that, having read some of my mother's diaries at that time when I was 4 years old, saying, I'm so glad, Kathy's such a good little girl. She fixed me supper, fixed herself supper, and then put us both to bed. That's pretty powerful when you're 4 years old. And I thought, well, maybe I was just remembering things incorrectly, but no, it wasn't. So I've always had a strong sense of having to take care of other people and putting what I wanted on the back burner to the point that it actually hampered my career for many years. Dennis, you had a question. What was your question?
Well, I was Charlene hit on a point where you were saying, Charlene, that the night before you try to organize the following day and things you need to do and so on. Do you find, and I guess my immediate reaction was, if I were to do that, I think I would have a lot of trouble going to sleep because my mind would be so active as to what I need to do tomorrow, and because I need to get A, B, and C accomplished, what happens when D, E, and F show up? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what I do is I review the day, and when I go a little deeper here for you. So what I do at night and before I go to sleep is I rest quietly and I review the day. Did I get what I wanted done? Did I accomplish that which I wanted to accomplish? Make the phone calls, have the conversations, finish a project, do a little bit on a project, work with somebody else, what have you. Kind of go through the day, but also it includes the personal things. Did I spend time with my husband? Did we enjoy our time together? Did I get done what I had set out to do that day? And did I have the emotional well-being that goes along with it? And anything that isn't ticked off as a yes, I have taught myself to be able to just say, well, then that needs to be addressed tomorrow. See, I can't address it now, but mentally I'm putting it on a list for tomorrow. Okay, it's done. It's over. I've let go of it because now it's moved to tomorrow. When I prep myself for tomorrow, I finish out my review of the day with a prayer of thanks that I had that day available to me, and that I ask that after a good night's sleep that I am ready for the day tomorrow to put forth the same effort that I had attempted to put forth today. So it's part of my routine. So in the next morning when I wake up, I have my prayer and meditation time, and it's during that time that I'm almost like continuing what I did the night before. And that is to put myself in a mindset of, this is who I am and what I have to offer to the world. And with your help, as part of my prayer to my God, that I'm able to do this in a manner that is of service and is friendly and that helps me grow, and other, all the things that happen in the day. See, that's setting myself up to think in a particular way towards the day. When I get to the office, that's when I will physically write down the tasks that I want to get done for the day. So what I'm doing is I am allowing what I've learned to do, and trust me, it doesn't happen every single time. There are days I get in my own way. All right. All right. So let's put that in there. I am human. I get in my own way. So 85 to 90% of the time I'm able to do this. So what happens is I'm putting things in their place and keeping my perspective, because overwhelm happens when I've lost perspective. I'm obviously thinking I am quite capable of more than I am, which usually is the case in overwhelm, or I'm very afraid of a big project. There's something else in there. It needs a little bit of attention. Needs a little bit of attention. But that's part of my routine. So I come in and, I have my morning routine before I come to the office. My office commute is like 40 steps. But before I come into the office, I have my morning routine that, when my husband is home and when he's not home, and those things get done, it's taking care of my spirit, it's taking care of my body, and it's taking care of my mental attitude. What am I coming to the day with? Those times when that doesn't work, and I just tell everybody, Charlene's whack today. You just need to
well, that brings
busy. It's not happening. Just go with the flow. I'm not going to fight it. Whereas there was a time I would fight it. Today, I just tell the people I'm working with that I'm a little slower. Other people, I say, it's just not there.
Right.
I'm just roiled up, and we're just going to call it, Mother Nature and God are just having a good time right now. So,
right. Well, that leads me into a question I want to ask the three of you. And again, for those who are joining us late, my scheduled guest, Victoria Hargis, and I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, Victoria, was having trouble getting in. So we're going to reschedule her because she's got some awesome things to share about mindset. So look for her back in April. But this is what I want to finish up with. And each of you kind of address this quickly. One of the tough things with mindset is no matter how good we can get about putting ourselves in a good mindset, it's still easy to beat ourselves up when things don't go the way we planned, especially if things are out of our control. Like today's lab, technology stepped in. Steve and Charlene and Cindy and a couple other people in our gallery came to the rescue. So we had a good conversation. So I had a plan B. So and I've been through this before. So that's not something I'm going to beat myself up with. But there are other things that get out of control sometimes. And what I want to know from each of the three of you is, do you allow yourself that small pity party before you move on, or what's your technique from switching from a mindset that's not serving you back to one that is serving you? Steve, why don't you start?
Well, that's a difficult one because I think it varies depending on where your mindset is at the time, and I find that when depression moves in, or when some particular item is a downer that kind of sweeps over you, you simply have to that old adage of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and carry on. My grandmother used to really get at me about that, and it helps. I don't think there's any absolute way that I could say that would work for everybody for that. There are different methods and practices that will get you there. Some people go and have a bowl of ice cream and let that be the soother that takes them over the hump and gets them focused again. It's different ways. Something that Dennis said about not organizing his thing, his day the night before. I'm like that too. I prefer to come in first thing in the morning, and I've got my trusty notebook beside me here on the desk and a pen, and I pick it up, and the first thing I do is I jot down 3 to 5 items that I want to attend to that day. They aren't necessarily the 3 to 5 that I'm going to actually get to, depending on circumstances, but they're the 3 to 5 key ones that I know I need to get to at some time, and hopefully today. So I put those down, and in jotting them down, just that act of writing helps me focus for the moment and bring my mindset around from wherever it was, however I woke up that morning. It's just a little ritual that does that. And so sometimes we can find that. But again, in terms of the nighttime mindset and the preparation, I do quite often look at a problem as I'm falling asleep. Not because I think it's going to set my mindset into discomfort while I sleep. I don't try to solve it. I don't try to wrestle with it. I just look at the problem that I've had. The one thing that's outstanding from the day before or the weeks before, whatever it is that's hanging over my head, and I'll fall asleep with that in mind, because I've studied the subconscious mind intently over the years, and I've found that you'll often wake up with the solution. If you happen to fall asleep with the problem. So that's a powerful tool that you can use, and it helps. It's interesting. I actually went to bed last night a little bit depressed. I not depression in the sense of clinical depression, but I've had a string of difficulties over the past few days, and dealing with some issues that have kind of taxed me a little bit, and I did, feel down about it all. And I went to bed last night thinking about the problem and what the issue was. I woke up not only with a better frame of mind this morning myself when I woke up, and some key elements that were solution to that problem, but I found a couple of emails waiting for me that delivered solutions on a couple of things too. So somehow, the universe always comes together and the right pieces fit. So you can work it through and develop it that way. I think so anyway.
Yeah. Dennis, I know you're prone to beating yourself up, but you're better at getting past that. So what tip would you share?
I guess just that. I allow myself to have that small pity party. Sometimes the party lasts a lot longer than it should. And I'm getting better with that. But again, a lot of, as Steve said, and Charlene, I didn't mean to. I do go to sleep thinking of what's going on tomorrow and what I've accomplished. My problem becomes what I concentrate more on what I didn't accomplish than what I did, and that causes my mind to drift longer and cause me to be awake at 1 o'clock in the morning, as opposed to using those hours to sleep and to rest, so that tomorrow when I wake up I can attack the things that I need to attack. Again, Kat knows better than anybody. I'm one of the best procrastinators I know. I own the Emmy, the Oscar, whatever goes along with that. It's mine, and I won't give it up.
And his friends have tagged him as indecision may or may not be his problem.
And I don't necessarily see that as being true.
But you're working on it, and I think that's important. I think the first step to improving anything is recognizing that a problem exists that you want to correct and that you want to improve. I know I can still beat myself up with things, and I've got family that just doesn't understand why I'm not mad at certain people in certain situations of my past, and it's because I choose not to be. Mm-hmm. It serves me no purpose to be angry with my ex-in-laws or my ex-husband or some of the situations. I took the lessons and I moved forward, and to carry that anger inside me is not a mindset that I want to take forward. So it's a choice. It's a harder choice for some to make than others. But I'll tell you, if you choose to make the choice, the moment you choose to make the choice is the moment you can make the choice. And I think that's important. Charlene, wrap us up with what you do if you fall off the good mindset wagon and want to get back on track.
All right. So if what you were talking about is I messed up, I mucked it up, or something went wrong and I'm deciding it's all my fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in all honesty, there are times, a few times, that I will allow myself what I call the red ring party. And we will allow that for about 5 minutes. What's the red ring party? That is when you're sitting on the pity pot. You get a red ring right where it belongs. So I allow that for about 5 minutes, and then I shake myself and I say, all right, so here's the question. What can I do about it now? What part of it is actually something I can control? What part of it isn't? And then detachment is my friend. I detach the emotion from that which isn't a part of what I can do. Sometimes I honestly sit here and say there's not a darn thing I can do about that, is there? Not a darn thing. I wish there was, but there's not. So move on. So when I move on, and that's my self-talk, that's what happens. And then I move on. Now, here comes the tough part. And Dennis, master procrastinator that you are, tough part is, oh crap, there is something I can do about it, but I'm not going to do anything right now. So what I have to do is I have to look at it and say, yes, there is something I can do about it. How important is it to me? Do I need to do something about it now? Can I put it off? Should I put it off? But it's recognizing it's a matter of perspective. It is saying that right now, this is what's happening. Can I do anything about it? Yes, let's do it. No? All right. Take a breath and if you can laugh about it, absolutely. It's much better than the red ring party. It doesn't hurt nearly as much. And it actually helps the day move a little quicker.
All puns intended.
All puns intended. That's why I love you. You get them. You get them.
Barb has mentioned a couple things in the chat roll, and that I want to bring to our attention. She said, she said that choice, when we make a choice to move forward or just to accept things the way they are and choose not to be angry or sad or mad or whatever, comes from a positive mindset. Yes, I agree with that. And she also said it is about moving to your strengths rather than to your weaknesses, and to go deep within yourself to see your own focus of control. I'm sure locus was supposed to be focus. Take action, have a goal, and figure out how your strengths will get you to achieve your goal. And I know Dennis is really good at that. We're both involved with community theater. He does a lot of the directing and producing of shows, a little bit of acting still. In fact, our first major interaction with each other was in a play called Zombies, when we were being cast as the opposite leads. And the show must go on. So when there's an outside deadline that you can give yourself that you have to meet, the show goes on the day it's supposed to go on, at the time it's supposed to go on, whether you're ready or not. You can make those. It's sometimes when those self-imposed deadlines that get out of our, that we massage the deadline until it's so blurred, there's no deadline left, and we allow ourselves the excuses. Yeah, exactly. Well, Victoria is in our gallery. She will be back with me because I really want you guys to hear her take on a lot of the mindset things. Wonderful. And rediscovering your passion, which we've skirted around. I've kind of directly led the conversation into other areas because there's no one way to do this. There's the way that works best for you, and even the ways that work best for us change depending on the situation we're facing. So thank you for joining us in a seat today. Steve, you and I will be back on Blab at 1:00 Eastern today with our Freebie Friday regular show. Thank you, Dennis, for joining us and sharing a lot of what you have to offer. I know Cindy has said that she is competing for you with that Emmy for procrastination. And I know Cindy gets a lot of things done too. So Thank you all for joining me. This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com. This is the end of this week's Fast Action Friday, and I want to remind you to keep rocking your unique path to success. Bye now.